Hi everyone, Alex is here and today we'll be talking about myth and reality about big tech companies. So I have been working in Meta and Monobank, like two big companies, especially Meta one, and I have some experience working there. I have some ideas that I wanted to share with you and some myths that I wanted you to understand how it can be how it works in general. So let's start. So firstly, only geniuses are working in big tech. And speaking, that's not so true. So a lot of them are really clever people. So you can't just get into them without any knowledge. That's not how does it work. But you just need to understand that people who are working in big tech, they just understand how the system should work, how the problem should be solved. It doesn't show that the person is genius. That's not how this works too. But it shows the level of the person and the problem solving that the person can have. So I think the problem solving is one of the most critical thing this company is looking for. So no one wants to have a lot of time with you to help understand how to fix that problem or how to make that feature. Mostly of such companies, they're just giving you a task and it doesn't matter for them a lot of how it will be done. In general, that should be done, and then it should be done in the best way it can be. But it doesn't show that the person should be genius and should win all the international competitions and etc. But it will be plus if you the person who is winning in all such things. It's really the plus. But if you're not, that's not a so big deal. The next thing, the salary is just $1 million per year or $500,000. It doesn't matter. So in general, yeah, such big companies, they're making a lot of money when you're just coming into them, or in general they have a high salary employers, but it doesn't mean that everyone is such, or that most of them are have a salary with 50k plus. Not. So in general, all of them are high salary, but it really depends on your level. That's the first thing that you should remember. Level is one of the most crucial thing in the salary. And if you're the top manager, maybe you can have such high salary, but you'll have a high responsibility. You won't have, I think, any weekends, honestly speaking. You should be every time on a call, and yeah, so it depends on the level mostly. And once more time, when you're a big company, you will try to cut a lot of things as much as you can. But such companies, they have really big benefits. That's the thing that I can totally tell you. That's really how it works. Some parties, some discounts for specific things, or for example free tickets for the matches. That can be, but once more time, the salary really depends on your level. Next one, so you'll be writing every time complex and innovative code every day. Not, sadly or happily, that's not true. So mostly you'll be doing you'll have not every time complex code. You won't have every time complex tasks. It really depends on the priorities of the company and what you should do. Sometimes it will be a fast refactoring. Sometimes it will be a big new feature. Mostly of the times it's something in the middle. So there are a lot of things when the feature is coming. You're making a lot of things to do that, and then you have sometimes to improve that. And such things, they're not so complex that, for example, creating an innovative or some new feature. And once more time, it won't be every time innovative. And with that, we're going to the new myth that in general, you'll feel a global impact with what you're doing. Maybe sometimes, but maybe not. And once more time, it depends on the company. If you're in a big tech, for example, in a Meta, it doesn't mean that you'll be making a Facebook page from the very beginning, or Instagram, or WhatsApp, or any other thing that they have. Not, and probably you won't doing that for some years, because Firstly, such companies, they have really sometimes big and complex system, and you should understand it. That's why such companies giving you little by little understanding what is happening there. Google or Apple, they won't give you at once the access for their main repository for iCloud or Google Drive. Not. They will give you small things and you'll be growing, and then when you will understand fully how the system works, when the company can rely on you, you'll have more and more access for a lot of different projects and etc. So that's also what you should remember. It won't be a global impact, at least at once. Later it can be. And also managers. So when we're talking about complex tasks or global impact, we also think about managers who can give you this task and why they're giving that. So it a lot of people are thinking that managers are always competent, but sadly that's not true. I happily didn't see in my company, in my teams, such managers. They're not so good ones, they're not so competent. No, I have a lot of great competent managers, but I know some groups where it's not. So always remember that you can know something better, or manager can know something better, or you can be more you can have more trust than the manager, and it's always should be a talk with the manager, especially if you know something that can help your project. So please first ask manager or your management if they want to know your opinion, and if it's yes, don't be worried to tell that, because sometimes people who have a high level in the system cannot fully understand what can be happening. They can just skip some important things, and it's okay for everyone. We're all humans, so that's the life. Also, when you're trying to get into big company, you think that, okay, I should find a lot of connections, I should go to a lot of events to find out the person who can connect me with that company. It was working in such a way a lot of time ago, especially when there wasn't so good recruiting system. But right now we have a lot of companies, especially online one, that can help you to be hired. And a lot of time, I have been hired for one of the big companies with resume that I have just posted that. Another one was the company just found me. So it really depends on the company and on the situation on the market. But right now it's good to go to a lot of events, to know a lot of clever, good people. But it doesn't matter. But it doesn't mean that the only one chance to go to the big company is through these events. That's not. So trying to improve your resume. Try to find some people. Maybe they can give recommendations, and it will be one of the really big impacts to go to the big companies. But it's not every time it works. So you can also find some things like short-term projects in such companies. Maybe they have some things, for example, a quick, for example, 6 months project or internship that also can be good. It doesn't matter in which your level, if a junior, middle, senior, or manager. If you want to go to the big companies, you can try this internship, because the company, for example, that'd be Google, they really rely on the people, and that's one of the most important thing that you should know. So if the company can rely on you, they will hire you, they will make work with you. And that's why sometimes you can have the connection that can take you up there. But if you'll be just a reliable person, if you have a good resume, if you have a lot of great experience, that can be one of the most important things. So please remember about that. And let's go to the final one that I really like the most. So such companies have a perfect work-life balance. That's not, or mostly is, once more time, it depends on the team. And remember, when you're working with internal stuff inside the company, you're making some automation, or you're working with some products that will use the people who are working in this company. That can be really great work-life balance, because there won't be so many crucial things that will impact, for example, for companies' money in the end. But if you're working with the project that is relied on the clients, here is this work-life balance can be a little bit tricky. For example, if you want to work in Instagram and instantly you wanted to work with, for example, posts in this Instagram, do you understand that if you have a feature and it will be delayed, the company will lose a lot of money. It can be millions, it can be billions, whoever knows. But the thing you should remember, that when you're working for the project that is for the users, here is the work-life balance problem. If for internal, mostly it will be okay. And once more, it depends on the project. And please remember that your work-life balance is really important one, and you should not forget about that. And if you'll be working a lot, if you'll be going with full of your stuff, you can really have problems at the end. So please keep in mind that. Okay, you know what? I will tell you the final one, bonus one. So not that one. I remember one more thing. Here we're back. So I was just thinking about one thing and I couldn't remember that, but then reminded. So everything is always automated and it's modern. It's like you're using the stuff that no one is using, and that depends on the company, but mostly that's not true. And I will tell you why. Such big companies, they have a big system that was created right a lot of time ago. For example, they can be created 10 years ago. And just for you to know, there are a lot of automations. And when you're working in such companies, just know that there are a lot of things, systems, programming languages even, that the knowledge of that you won't be able to use anywhere else. So when you're, for example, working in startup, what is one of the most interesting things that you're using the programming language that mostly you'll be able to use in any other startups or even in any other big tech companies, but not sometimes the information that you're getting from the big tech companies, programming languages or systems you can implement in startups. A lot of them are internal, and that's a problem sometimes, especially for the people who are just newcomers for such companies. And once more, so if they have such internal things, internal programming languages or system, it doesn't mean it's always up to date. Because you're working on the new features, you're not sometimes rely on the upgrades the system should have. For example, you can use the project on Angular, and the project on Angular could be created like with the version 3. And the company should have a lot of new updates, and they won't upgrade it with every update that is releasing every week. That's good if the company have a thing like you will update with one major release of the framework. Or that will be good if they will update once in a half year. They're just amazing. When you're working with big companies like Meta or Google, they have their own Angular and React. Yes, these things will be mostly up to date because they're their own, they're like communicating what we can improve, and that will be instantly improved. But when you're working with, for example, let it be Apple, who is using, for example, I didn't really know what they can use, but let it be React. They won't upgrade that every 2 weeks to have all the new features. Not sadly. And if you're working with a big tech company that is not from Funk or MAANG, it also doesn't mean that this company will upgrade all the frameworks to have up to date. Not sadly. So sometimes you'll be using really old version and you should be ready for that. But mostly of such companies will require you to know new versions, and a lot of times you will come and they're like, sorry, we're using an old one version, but you know the new one, so please just improve a little bit your knowledge to know the old one. Yes, sometimes it could be, and you can't be sure that it won't be. But once more, hope is our best. And once more time, automation are things there are a lot of in such companies, but doesn't mean that everything is automated or everything is simple, everything is readable. You can just read one doc and everything will be understandable. Not in big companies. You should have really a lot of time to understand what is simple things can do, because there are a lot of connections between any others, files, frameworks, things, and you should just to know how it works in this specific company. It won't mean that you will understand how it will be working in another company. Not. It's just the internal thing that is working here. That's what you should understand. That's not a specific thing that are in one company. They're in nearly in all big tech companies. If you know some more interesting things, please write down in the comments. That will be really interesting to discover your opinion, your knowledge about big tech companies, what you have experienced in them. And once more, just believe in you. You can figure that out. You know what to do. And if you wanted to be in such big companies, just don't be afraid. Try, believe in you, and improve your resume. Improve your knowledge to get into there. There are a lot of possibilities, and try to get different way. All of people are trying. I believe in you. All the best.